It's the Morning Brew with Elle Dawson and Gillian Robertson. Brought to you by Fight Bananas.
Hey guys, we're here. Sorry, we're a little bit late this morning. We're getting connection issues dealt with, but it is 10:01 a.m. on Sunday. The red light is on, and last night's fights were awesome.
Yeah, I think as predicted, not a lot of big names, but all good fights. I think there's like one or two that may have been a little bit of not the most exciting fights, but for the most part, it was a pretty good overall card.
I think the only fight that I was like, was the heavyweights.
Yeah, I think on the prelims, I want to say there was one or two more that I was just like the Bruno Brazil Caitlin Souza fight was a little bit slower pace for me too. I'm like, but majority of the fights, it was a night of bangers completely.
No, 100%. You get like, typically I don't go, women's bantamweight started off with a bang, but women's bantamweight started it off with a bang. I don't want to get into the prelims too quickly. We'll definitely come back and give Claudia her flowers, and oh my gosh, the Vic Losh with the last minute finish. There's so much to go over on the prelims, but I'm stoked for Mario Bautista. I feel like he's been an underrated guy in this division consistently. To go out and finish a guy like Oliveira, who is just a chaos creator typically. Mario, I expected Mario to be able to nullify the chaos. I didn't expect him to get a finish like that.
Yeah, just absolute dominance, especially in the second round. I feel like in the first, Oliveira was able to, I guess, find a little bit more moments or opportunities. He was able to work a little bit more, but Bautista in the second round shut him down 100%. Just the wrestling options that he was giving off the fence, the trips that he was hitting, I'm like, it was all just one after the other, just constant pressure on him. And like 100% just shut down Vinicius. That transition to the finish too, he went for a Kimura, then took the back straight for the choke. Super slick.
No, that was epic. He had a couple really great scrambles. There was one Oliveira hit a really nice takedown, and Mario just this immediate reversal, super quick on the ground. I was really impressed with his grappling. Is it just me? Did it look like Oliveira was literally trying to kick him in the junk every time he was on his back?
I guess I didn't pick that up.
I was like, he wasn't up kicking. He was literally like kicking him like. It looked like in the groin, like it looked on purpose to me.
Yeah, I guess I didn't pick that. I noticed there was a lot of up kicks. That's, I guess, one thing I was surprised more from Oliveira. I didn't expect him to have so many options on the ground. I feel like he attacks not that obviously Bautista was able to nullify it all, but I expected. I don't know. I've never seen him work on the ground. I didn't expect him to be so well versed, Like he was still going for heel hooks, still always when he's on the bottom, he's always attacking, trying to throw strikes, whether it's like elbows, the up kicks to the groin, apparently. But like whatever it was, he looked like he was trying to attack a lot. I would have loved to see more attempts to stand up. Like there was opportunities where he created so much space and then was just sitting there chilling on his back. It's like you got to do strike, sweep, submit, stand up. You got to be doing all four at all times. And if there is that much space, I would have liked to see the more urgency on Oliveira's side to stand up. But like a beautiful game plan from Bautista too, just go in there, wrestle heavy. And obviously it was a clear way to take a always dangerous striker like Oliveira, take the danger level down a little bit.
No, 100%. And you were talking about his options on the ground. For us not having been able to see Oliveira on the ground like that too much, Mario seemed so prepared for those moments. Like I was very concerned for his knees a few times in there and some of those leg entanglements, but yeah, he did such a good job. And I feel like a guy like Oliveira, you were talking about creating space, the build that he has, especially at a division like 135, like to be able to use frames like that is such a good asset. And like, it's so hard to deal with. Like if you're like, I know you've been grappling your whole life, that those long, lanky people that have a great knee shield, super hard frames, sharp elbows, like that is such a pain in the butt. for a top heavy grappler. And yeah, Bautista dealt with it beautifully.
It's like, and especially if you do have those long, lengthy frames, use it to get up. You have so much space there. But like you said, Bautista just nullified it completely. Anything that Oliveira was throwing at him, and like we said, it's something that we don't have footage on. We haven't really seen Oliveira on the ground. How like he, for all we know, he could. Like, there's a lot of guys who make it to a very high level in the UFC and have absolutely no jujitsu. So to see that he did have options there, I was just like, oh, so he's not like completely, a fish out of water on his back. And I'm like, just how Bautista handled every single situation. And then in the second round, I feel like he just came out with that urgency. Like I said, the takedowns, it was like he put on a pace in that second round.
No, he did. And he just blew through him. I'm honestly a little bit shocked. I expected a 5-round fight. And I expected a lot of Bautista, like similar to how he fought Aldo. And I don't hate on the Aldo performance like a lot of people do, but I expected a lot of that. Like you said, nullifying the dangerous striker, just closing up the distance where Vinicius can't use those kicks. He can't get that explosive counter striking in and create that chaos. That's what I expected more of. And the takedowns just look beautiful.
Oh yeah. And like I said, it's just a relentless pressure, especially if like obviously Vinicius is very well versed in grappling, but if you're not used to doing it in fights all the time, it's just a different pace. So I'm like, I think you could see that a little bit too, that he was just wearing on him.
And he made the right adjustments too. Like in the first round, he was going for a lot of heel hooks. You saw him not lace as much in that second round, like not give as many opportunities of like putting the leg through. Like I saw him staple, really try and focus on like clearing that knee for half guard and like sitting down on Vinicius's leg too. Like Bautista just made the perfect adjustments as well.
And can I just say, like, a little bit off topic, just thinking, I'm like, but having the fans there makes such a huge difference for these fights.
No, I like the new Apex. Like the energy was hype. It was good.
I was just thinking about that fight, and I'm like, just having that energy in the room, I'm like, it makes such a huge difference. I love the new Apex. I love that we have fans there. We have energy. We have a crowd chanting. I'm like, it was just such a different night of fights as a whole.
Are you back to like, I could be excited to fight in the Apex again?
Oh, it definitely brought a new energy to it. I'm like, I just, there's nothing worse than you're fighting and it's just, you can hear a pin drop. Where I'm like, now I was like, the last night's fights were just so much better, just having the crowd there. I'm like, even there was a lot of crowd involvement. I feel like on a couple fights, they were getting chants going.
No, for sure. Honestly, like, was it Farid got like, I don't know if it was all the Brazilian fans or what happened, but Farid got some serious boos. Thank you for watching. Anna Kinski said that Apex definitely looked better now than ever before. I agree. This is honestly what I wanted to ask you next, G. Like, what's next for Mario Bautista? If we're looking at these rankings, I mean, obviously Oliveira was below him in the rankings. This was a big step up for Oliveira. But I'm gonna pull these up. Hang on. But yeah, I'm like, where do we put him next? Because 135 is one of the deeper divisions for sure.
Oh yeah, 135 is absolutely stacked.
It's funny, like flyweight was like going to be cut a few years ago, and now flyweight is just stacked, and 135 is like the two smallest weight classes are just loaded. I really did like the call out that Farid had for was it Farid that called out Davison? Wait, no, who called out Davison? Sure. There were so many 35er fights last night. Ooh, this would be a sick fight. Wouldn't mind a Corey rematch with Mario. So let's see. The question is, does Bautista move up in the rankings? I feel like they should at least put him over like Cheeto. Just because over the finish, because Cheeto's right above him. And maybe over Davison too, because Davison's coming off the loss. And he didn't look so great in that fight either. You have Ayman Zahabi at number 6, who he's lost to. Song Yudong just above him. Corey Sandhagen, Sean O'Malley, Umar and Marab. Like, do we give him a top 5 guy?
I think the Sandhagen matchup kind of makes sense.
Yeah, it was Farid that called out Figgy. That's right. I would say Zahabi, but Umar will fight him next. You think? Think Umar and Zahabi next? I guess.
I'm ready to see Zahabi get a title shot. So
yeah, pushing for title shot at 39. Let's go. I love Zahabi. He's just a dog, man. He creates these like messy exchanges with way more technical fighters, and he just finds ways to win. I love guys like that.
Yeah, I absolutely like you said, a title run at 39 years old. He's probably my favorite in this division right now. I don't expect him to get the title, but I'm hoping more than anything that he at least gets a shot.
No, I am too. Like Javed, I know Javed lost to Zahabi. That's a good win, honestly. Javed's good. They said they should that Farid fight Zahabi. They're honestly, if I look at this, how many 35ers won last night?
No, that's what they were saying. Whenever Farid and Matsumoto were fighting, they made a comment about how neither one of the guys were ranked. And I was like, that was absolutely crazy.
They're both so good. That was such a technical fight. And Matsumoto is a dog, man. I'm a big fan of that kid. There were 4 bantamweight fights last night. 5 if you include the girls, but wow. Yeah. That's wild. Anywho, okay, let's go down this card because there's honestly a lot to talk about. I know you and I are on the same boat here. We've seen enough. Give Kyoji Horiguchi a title shot. Kyoji Horiguchi and Joshua Van at the White House in June. Let's do it. Yeah, dude, he has things that I think you can't teach people.
I just want to be Kyoji when I grow up. You know? Like, he just moves so efficiently, and he looks like a little like video game character, just like bouncing there and just covering like half the cage in one step. He throws a 1-2 and literally is halfway across the cage. I'm like, dude, just covers so much distance so efficiently. And then even like in the second and third round, he wasn't using as much footwork, but just his pressure coming forward, then just like aggressive, nasty pressure. Which it's like, to see somebody who's able to do both of them is very unique in general. I'm like, that he does like play on the outside, find his shots, still able to cover distance. Then in the next 2 rounds, he was really picking it up and just being a dog.
Dude, I'm so like, he looks like he's floating when he moves. Like it's like a bounce, but it's so light. Like it's really hard to explain. I don't think you can really teach that. Like, I think you have to have that gift. Like people with really great range control, it almost like just clicks for them naturally. I feel like that's what Kyoji has, is that I'm exactly close enough to hit you when I need to be, and I'm exactly far enough to make you miss by this much when I need to be away. And yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, when I trained at ATT, there was one day that like all the coaches were gone because like they had like a PFL fight and a UFC fight, and they were, you know, like we had no coaches in the gym. So there was like a fighter running the class. Then at the end of the class, they're like, all right, let's just play a game. And one person had a ball, and you were allowed to take 3 steps when you had the ball, and then you had to throw it to somebody else. And like we had like 2 teams, and you had to get the ball from the other person. We had Alexander Rakic,
yeah.
We had him and Kyoji on our team. And I'm like, literally those 2 would just like take 2 steps and cross the whole gym, you know? Like between those 2, the rest of the team, we just sat back and we won.
Dude, he's a super athlete. And the pace too. Like the pace that he keeps through 15 minutes, like I don't think that's going to be a problem in 25 minutes. Like, and then at the end of the fight, you see him, he's not even breathing out of his mouth. Like he's still breathing through his nose. I drilled with him like once on one of like Mike Brown's evening classes, and I have never been so exhausted in my entire life. Like the pace that he keeps is just unreal.
Just an absolute superior athlete. Like you said, it's just a gift. He was born with that, and it is something special. And I just love to see that this title run. This is what I'm like, I can't wait to see him fight for the belt.
Yeah. And listen, Ghost Kid, of course, no one is disagreeing with you. Ghost Kid said Pantoja needs the rematch. Of course. no one is arguing that Pantoja does not get an immediate rematch the second he is healthy. I'm just saying, if he's going to be out this year, healing his arm, we need a Kyoji title run. That's all I'm saying. ATT needs to bring that belt back. But I agree with you. And he also, he's a super hard worker. He works constantly. He's been doing this for so long. And I feel like he and Mike Brown have just some of the best fighter coach chemistry that I've ever seen. Like all the things that I've practiced in Mike Brown's classes, Kyoji is just a master at, and they fit into his game so freaking well. Just the way he uses the whizzer on the cage, the way you can see his balance is so good against the cage. He he almost alternates. He didn't really do it in this fight, but you'll see it in other fights too. He alternates between really attacking the whizzer when people are trying to take him down and attacking the guillotine too. And he just uses it so well to not use, like you said, he's super efficient with it. And then it's just the second there's an opening for him to get back to his feet or break the hands, he's gone.
Okay, and it's not like he had an easy opponent in front of him last night either. Albazi was especially second and third round, was trying to bring a dogfight to him, was trying to make it dirty, and Kyoji was just handling every single situation. And I think the fact that we got to see him fight to a decision, we got to see a full 15 minutes of just complete and total domination, almost shows more for him last night.
I agree. And honestly, I think the gym change for Albazi was a good change. That bald guy in the corner for him, that dude is a really freaking good wrestler. I guess I don't know that much about him as a coach, but I don't think it was Albazi didn't show up. Like you said, yeah. I feel like Albazi is a super tough opponent. He's good at nullifying athletic opponents, like the Kai Kara France fight. I will say, I have to go back and watch it again. I think I did score that fight for Kai, if I'm remembering right. I remember it being super, super close. But he did a good job nullifying that explosive in and out movement of Kai Kara France as well, just like he tried to do to Kyoji, and he just didn't have the answers.
Mm-hmm. No, like I said, I think it is just the ability that Kyoji really can just change his pace. He can change from being that person who's going to be hard to find dancing around the cage to being that person who's in a dogfight in your face, to also handling all the wrestling options. Just he didn't give Albazi a lot of offensive options. He was always hard to find.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. Listen, I am all for second chances. Izzy Boy says Cop versus Kyoji is the fight to make. I'm all for second chances. I'm even for third chances. Cop has just let us down with so many main events because Kyoji's next fight needs to be a main event. He's probably needs one more before we're let's see him and Van at the White House, which honestly, if they want to do that, I'm cool with it. I doubt they're going to do that. They're probably going to give Kyoji one more. And Cop makes sense as an opponent, but this fight needs to be a main event. And Cop has let us down on so many main events. And he didn't this last time. He showed up, he made weight, knocked out Royval, a dude that literally just doesn't get knocked out. So I'm for it. It's just Kyoji doesn't cut a lot of weight. Kyoji can turn around like that. He could very realistically fight on the White House card. That's not a big deal. He could probably fight Moreno next weekend if he wanted to. And so if we look at Cop, fought December, then fought again in March, which is honestly a pretty quick turnaround for him, and then fought again the following December. That's not terrible. Most guys fight twice a year, but I feel like with Kyoji, we can turn him around faster. And since Cop fought in December, I think it's unlikely he's going to be ready for several more months, especially with how tough his cut is. This is fun.
I was going to say, I'm like, that's the comment I was looking at. That's a fun fight, and that's a huge fight.
God, dude. Anna Kinski said, how about Kyoji versus Taira in Japan? I don't think people understand how famous Kyoji is in Japan, and I would imagine that's not much different for Tatsuro Taira for how good he is. They love their fighters.
No, That's the only thing that I'm like, I don't know if they would make. I don't. Well, it's obviously it's a huge fight. I don't know if they would want to take away one of their Japanese stars. Put them up against each other.
I mean, do you really lose anything though? Because Tatsuro, let's see, Tatsuro lost to Royval, and then beat last. Oh, duh. He lost to Royval, and then he beat Hyung Sung Park, who wasn't ready for that moment. I think we can all agree that was just a huge. He had to take Albazi's place, and then he finished Brandon Moreno, which is bonkers because Brandon is, to me, just one of the highest level flyweights consistently for over the last almost decade. If we're really looking at it since I know he got cut and came back, but ever since that season of Tough with all the flyweights, like Brandon Moreno has just been like a staple of this division. So he is kind of the guy you have to beat to get a title shot. I feel like he's almost been the Max Holloway of this division. So Tatsuro is kind of like, I mean, I would argue he might already be in line for a title shot. Would Taira even risk losing to a guy like Kyoji, who is pretty far? Well, I don't know, how far is he behind him in the rankings?
Currently,
he was 8. Yeah. So I would assume they maybe bump him up. They might even put him over Moreno after a finish like that. Or after a performance like that, I mean. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe just 6 for Albazi. But does it make sense for Tatsuro to fight backwards 3 fighters in the rankings when he's coming off of a win like Brandon Moreno?
I don't know, because I think he still might need one more to really justify that title shot, especially when you do have like a Pantoja up there too, Where
does that get him the shot?
I don't know. I think a win over. It's like it's hard to say because Kyoji hasn't been in the UFC, so it's like you can't say like, oh, he has these wins behind him. But obviously, outside the UFC, he's done amazing. Like he's a huge name. He's a multiple-time champion, and even in the UFC, obviously, I guess. Well, yeah, I was gonna say even in the UFC, he's done like his first 2 fights. He's performed perfectly. So I'm like, he is a very tough opponent where I think it would justify, but I can understand why people would say it wouldn't.
Yeah. It's historically too, I think you have to like acknowledge Kyoji's UFC run before he left the UFC, because he's one of the handful of guys that didn't like get cut. He just left. I'm pretty sure. So, and if you look at his record in the UFC, it makes sense. He literally has 1 loss at flyweight, and that's Demetrius Johnson.
To the greatest of all time.
Who beats everybody except Henry Cejudo that one time and Adriano that one time. But like, it's, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what makes sense for him, because I think Kopp probably has earned the title shot, as much as I'm not like a Kopp fan. And then you have Pantoja, who deserves to jump right back into a title shot the second he's healthy, because he was so dominant as a champion. So like, maybe the title shots are a little tied up for a bit. Like maybe we already have 2 of those lined up. Joshua Van's itching to fight again, since he didn't even really get to like have a full fight with Pantoja. Yeah, I don't know. And then you have this huge main event this weekend. Like, I'm stoked. Or is it? No, it's 2 weekends. 2 weekends from now. We don't have any fights this weekend. Oh my God, we don't have any fights this weekend.
I don't say that.
Speaking of Moreno, this is Anna Kinski again. Speaking of Moreno, Loner Kavanaugh getting a big opportunity. Guys, Grant and I are the biggest Kavanaugh fans. I freaking love this kid. He is so fun.
I think it's a big jump up for him there.
Yeah. I'm just bad at math, Anna Kinski. I was thinking February 28th in my head, which is actually 3 weeks away, not 2 weeks. You're right. We've got no fights this weekend, Fluffy and Strickland next weekend, which is going to be really fun. And then we have Mexico City the week after that. So But like, yeah, this is a huge. Loner Kavanaugh's ranked 15 right now, so he's jumping all the way up to 5 to fight Brandon Moreno. And historically, these jumps, they usually do not pan out for these guys. And Moreno, I just don't know if Kavanaugh is ready for this moment. I love Moreno. I never want to see the guy lose, but it would be kind of wild if Kavanaugh could pull this off. Moreno is one of those guys where there's not really a hole in Moreno's game. You know, like he really is world-class everywhere. You just have to be better in one of those categories to beat Moreno.
Yeah, and like we said, I think it really is just too big of a jump up too early for Kavanaugh. I'm like, I wasn't excited to see him get this opportunity just because of that. Because I'm like, he's young too. I'm like, I just don't see this being a winning opportunity for him.
Well, I think it is because I don't think this is one of those fights where nobody expects you to do that well. And so even if he just has a decently competitive fight with him, I feel like it gets him back. Like it gets him back after losing to Charles Johnson, you know? Mm-hmm. So I feel like this is a win-win for Kavanaugh. I don't think anybody expects him to win. And so it's okay if he doesn't. So all he needs to do is just perform a little bit better than people expect. And he already has good wins on his resume. Like Felipe Dos Santos, I know he's not a ranked guy, but he's really good. Jose Ochoa is another guy that probably should be ranked, but because he's not ranked yet either, is he? Let me look. Yeah, he's not ranked yet either. And he has really, really good wins outside the rankings in the deepest we've ever seen flyweight. So I feel like even if he just does okay against Brandon Moreno, then he can be in an argument for like, oh, okay, let's give him an Alex Perez or a Tim Elliott, an established name after that, where it's a competitive fight for him, but it's also a big enough name that it really drives him forward, if that makes sense.
No, definitely. Yeah. I'm like, I don't know. I guess I hope the best for it. I hope he does at least go out there and give a good scrap. I just see it be like, I think Moreno's he's a former champ. He's a vet. And I think it's just going to be fairly one-sided.
I feel like oh my God, I'm going to like, I keep doing this in my head. I keep mixing up these two guys. The Amir Albazi fight. My brain was like, Asu Almabayev. I was like, no, he was supposed to fight him this month. That's not the right guy. The way Brandon looked fighting Amir Albazi. The only thing is Albazi, I feel like doesn't have the explosiveness Kavanaugh has, but it just showed how complete Moreno is. Like he is very difficult to fight. But anywho, I feel like we've spent way too much time talking about flyweights.
Yeah, now we get to go into our the next best division, the heavyweight division.
Guys, the heavyweights just took the wind out of the sails for me, as I'm sure it's, especially after Olachechek and Marc-Andre Barriault sacrificed years of their lives just to entertain us as fans. You can just cut both these guys. I'm kidding. A little. No. Rizvan's like, he'll beat a lot of guys in the heavyweight division. Doing exactly, just because he's so freaking big. He is so big. Like that dude is cutting weight to make 265 almost. I remember he was weighted in 264, like right at the limit. And he was able to wrestle. Like you could see, because Almeida has to be crazy strong. Because there's a reason heavyweights do not wrestle each other, because it's hard. It is hard to shoot to the legs and get sprawled on by somebody who's 265 pounds. And Almeida does it. He doesn't do it very excitingly, and he doesn't do a lot of damage when he does it, but he does it, and he couldn't get Rizvan down. So they hugged for 15 minutes, and
it's just like also for Almeida, though, you're a high-level grappler. Like you want the fight on the floor. Like even in the second round, you saw him start. He was like, "Okay, I'm going to strike for like a minute," but then but then when he goes and shoots, he doesn't set it up with striking. He just shoots a blind shot, just a wide arm double leg from across the cage. It's like, how do you not see that? How do you not sprawl on it? How do you not get underhooks? Because it was just like I said, it's not like the person's getting hit in the face. It's not like they're having to defend a punch or anything. He's just shooting like naked takedowns over and over and over again, which like you said, we ended up with a lot of hugging, and that's when the lovely Apex crowd got their chanting of break them up, because that's all this fight was. And it was just, we've been saying it probably too much these last couple weeks, but it's like we just need excitement in the heavyweight division.
We do. And to be honest, like, but there's a reason Almeida fights like that, because it's worked for him, because heavyweights don't wrestle. They don't go to wrestling practice. That's usually the practice they're at the least. And so in every gym. And so it's like when you've been looking at guys' legs sideways and they've been falling down your entire career, why would you have learned how to set up your takedowns properly? You know? And so it's we saw Volkov literally, like, Almeida was just like, look at your legs, and he would fall over like a string bean, which he's also a lot easier to get your hands locked on than Rizvan, because Rizvan's like this wide and Volkov's like this wide. But it's just, to be honest, this is booked. This is disappointing to me. You have two savages. Okay, Victor Petrino is a savage. Steven Asplund is really fun too. But Steven Asplund's obviously a little bit older, I think, in the division. I don't know if he'll go as far as like Hokit and Petrino. He's a little bit older. But I feel like I don't want to see this. You have two good guys that can finish guys at heavyweight. Have them fight the guys that need to be out of the rankings.
Asplund's only 27.
He's 27? Why did I think he was in his 30s? I'm sorry.
So I thought he was young. I had to Google that one.
That makes my point even more valid.
Yeah.
Why are we having two guys that are good enough to beat the guys that shouldn't be in the rankings anymore? Why are we having them fight each other and losing one of them? Have one of them fight Tai Tuivasa and have one of them fight Derek Lewis.
No, Tai needs to stay ranked.
Forever, apparently.
Forever.
Like, why are we losing why are we losing a contender here? They should have given Asplund to Buchecha. That makes more sense to me too. But honestly, Buchecha is another guy that you can, if you match him up well, like, you can, I don't know. Why we are so over the current rankings in the heavyweight division. Why would we lose a contender? That doesn't make any sense to me.
No.
Yeah. I don't think Agrafim said, what do you think of the Cachoeira fight decision? We'll get into it in more detail later. This is how we're just going to do the morning brew from now on. We're going to go through the whole card. Nunez looks convinced she got the win. I think she was just being a good coach. I don't think she actually thought Priscilla won that fight. Like, you gotta hope for a bad decision if your guy lost, right? Like, a win's a win. I don't think Nina was kind of like, I think they're just being, they're supporting their guy.
Priscilla definitely thought she had the win, I will say, but I'm like, I don't know. I don't see as a coach how you can watch that and be like, yeah, we definitely got that one.
I don't think so. I don't think Amanda believed that. I think she's just, you support your guy. There's nothing wrong with that. But Priscilla, I think, may have been convinced she won that fight, but after the amount of CTE she developed in that fight, that might be fair. That was there was a lot of damage in that fight. But we talked about the heavyweights. We won't spend too much time here because we do this every week and the heavyweights are catching strays. And who wants to talk about that fight when we can talk about fight of the night, Michael Olajaychuk and Marc-Andre Barriault? I don't care who won this fight. I don't care. I don't know if it was the right decision. I don't care. We all won. I had it 1-1 going into the third. And then the third round to me was anybody's fight with Olajaychuk, I think, kind of getting more momentum in the last minute and a half of the round. What a fight. I'm so glad these guys each got an extra $100,000. They absolutely deserve it.
Oh yeah. Marc-Andre doesn't have the best record in the UFC, but always has the best fights. Always exciting. he's always there to absolutely have a bloody brawl. Doesn't matter. He's just down to fight. And I absolutely love it. But Olajaychuk with those body shots was just ripping it all night long. I don't know how it didn't slow down Marc-Andre at all, because he was eating them over and over and over again. And especially with that open stance, the southpaw stance, it was like a backhand to the body over and over. I'm like, how did you keep that pace for those 3 rounds while taking those shots?
Well, and he didn't. He definitely slowed down, but I don't blame him. The volume and the output from both these guys, I was tired watching them. I knew he didn't have the best record. I did not realize his UFC record was this bad. It's 6-10. And to be honest, I'm fine with this guy never losing his job. Like, he delivers. He delivers what the fans want. And I was like, I bet he's got some like really good wins. And to be honest, not really.
I don't care if you have good wins if you're there to fight. If you're putting up a good fight every time and you're exciting for the fans, I'm like, that's just as much value to the UFC with the entertainment value as you would if you were winning. Like, he is such a valuable fighter for the UFC, such an exciting fight. And like I said, I don't care if he's losing. I want to watch him fight.
He can go 6-20 in the UFC if he's going to fight like that. I'm good. And dude, it was a close fight too. Like, that was super competitive. It wasn't like a one-sided ass whooping. Like, he almost had Olajaychuk out of there a few times. And honestly, I think he exposed a pretty decent hole in Olajaychuk's game, because the way Olajaychuk moves forward, if you watch this first round, I love these Polish fighters. First of all, the Poles are they're here to fight. All of them, every single one. Karolina, Claudia, Joanna was like this. Jakob is a fight. Like, these guys just want to fight. I love it. Anyway, he fights with his hands so low, but I love how he but he pressures. He's like low hands in the pocket, constant pressure forward, and he has a really nice pull. But the thing he does so beautifully is every time these guys are like willing to trade hooks with him in the pocket because they see that his hands are down, he just does this little turn. He turns with the hook and it hits him. It just doesn't hit him clean enough to put him out. However, the second Marc-Andre was like, you know what? I took the hardest shots from this guy and he didn't knock me out. He's like, I think I'm just going to go forward and see what happens. You saw that Olajaychuk does not fight well moving backwards. He's not a slick counter strike. He's not a Javid Basharat. He's not a make you miss and then catch you back. Like, he's not that kind of striker. He is a pressure. I'm gonna trust my chin and my head movement to keep me safe in the pocket, but I need to be pressing forward. The second Barrio took away Olajaychuk's ground, Olajaychuk did not have a good round. And it wasn't just because he hurt him and then because he recovered. He doesn't have that moving backwards, like some strikers do. And then I think Barrio made a mistake. And I don't know if he made a mistake or if he just got a little bit tired, which is totally fair in that fight. But he gave back Olajaychuk a lot of that space to be able to kind of do his game in the third round.
Well, listen, I felt like during this fight is whoever was walking forward was winning the fight.
Yeah.
Like, that's just – and Marc-Andre just does such a good job of taking a clean striker like Olajaychuk and making him fight this gritty, nasty, dirty fight in the pocket, which – that's where he's going to win. He just has to make it ugly, where it's like when it's staying clean, Olajaychuk was able to, like I said, walk forward, keep his distance, land that body shot recklessly over and over. I'm like, it was killing me watching that body shot.
And to be honest, I feel like, man, I don't know if Barrio wins decisions that often. I think he's got 2 decision wins. Like, if he doesn't finish you, he's probably losing the decision, unfortunately. That Magomedov, I guess he gets knocked out as well. But he had a close fight. I remember he had a close fight with Chris Curtis too, who's a staple of at middleweight. So it's like, I feel like he's got these good wins or these tough fights on his record. Yeah, he can have his job forever. Guys, UFC, don't ever cut Marc-Andre. Don't ever do it. we love him. We will tune in. He's just one of those guys that has he ever been ranked? I don't think he's ever been ranked, and we will always tune in to watch him.
No, 100%.
Yeah, put him on every Apex card ever, and I'll watch. I'll watch. Yeah, what a banger! But I'm so glad those guys got a bonus. Ola Chaychek's a freaking stud too. I love how he fights. It is like technical reckless abandon, if that makes any sense at all. He almost reminds me of like if Fluffy were more of a striker than a grappler. That makes sense. Like just this like pressure, volume pressure, and he can just keep putting it out.
No, it definitely makes sense.
I don't know if that was like, I don't know if that sounded like a Dave analogy a little bit, but
this next fight was probably one of the fight of the nights for me. Was the Matsumoto and Farid Basharat. I'm like, that one was like, wait, I think you texted me, like you were giving, we both said first round was Basharat. Yeah. Then the second and third round, we were both tossed up because I'm like, they were so close. So much was happening. It was, and like from both guys, absolutely mind blowing that neither one of them were ranked going into the fights last night.
No, and Matsumoto is like took a really short notice fight against Rob Font last year. I think had like a really super close fight with Rob Font on crazy short notice. Like he is another like just young stud in the bantamweight division. I think Farid though, what he does so beautifully, and both brothers do it, to be honest. I think he just does it at like this much better of an increment than Javid does is the way they make you miss and then counter. But Farid's like, he makes you miss by just this much. And so he's right there. He's right there to chop the leg. He's right there to land that cross. Like his range control and his twitchiness in those exchanges is so beautiful. I would like to see him wrestle to the legs a little bit more, to be honest, because I do think he has that skill set, but I don't think we see him use it all that much. I think that would kind of round out Basharat's game a little bit more.
Especially in the first round, though, those elbows from Basharat, nothing was impressing me more. Just the timing on them. I think he landed 3 right in a row, got that little cut started, and then it was just gushing by the end of the fight. But I'm like, it's so hard to land elbows at a range when you're striking to like find those elbows while somebody's striking with you. And he was just timing them perfectly over and over again. Was getting a little bit hungry looking for the spinning back one. I'm like, he tried it a couple times. I think that Matsumoto was a little bit more prepared for that one. But the ones that was straight up the middle, I'm like, he was just cutting clean with them.
And the spins. Ugh, I love there was a lot of spinning last night. Kyoji was spinning. Farid was spinning. Javid was spinning. Everybody was spinning. I loved it. I was here for it. But yeah, Farid's like 15-0 in a division like this. I know he's had some close fights. I didn't think his performance against Chris Gutierrez was the best Farid that we've seen. He looked really, really good in those first 2 rounds, and then I think he dropped the third. But I'd like to see him. I really like the Figgy fight. I think that makes a lot of sense. He needs to be ranked at this point.
No, 100%. Like I said, both these guys so talented. When I saw that they weren't ranked, I'm like, holy crap! The 135 division, just from top to bottom, is just absolutely stacked.
If you look at, I know it's kind of crazy for somebody to go in a division like that to go from unranked to top 10, but Figgy's coming off a loss. I think he's going to go down. I think Mario will go over Figgy, so maybe he'll come down to like number 8. Yes, we could absolutely give him somebody in it like from 11 to 15. I guess you could do him and Oliveira because Oliveira's coming off a loss. He's number 11. I don't want to do him and Talbot. I think Talbot deserves to go up the rankings quite heavily after the way he dealt with Cejudo. I have never seen anybody do that to Henry Cejudo. That was wild. I guess you could do Rob Font, Kyler Phillips, Montel Jackson. Kid's 15-0. Like, let's get him up in that, at least close to that top 10, you know?
I apologize to the heavyweights before I say this, but I just see a comment here online that says unranked bantamweight is unironically 10 times more skilled than ranked heavyweight.
Right? No, it's honestly, some of the unranked lightweights are 10 times more skilled than the ranked heavyweights. It's just such a weird division to me right now.
No, like we said, like looking at it's funny how it just goes in waves of where the talent is. Right now, it definitely is in the smaller guys in the lower weight classes. We're just seeing a huge boom in talent now. Like we said, I think 35 might be one of the more stacked divisions.
I think 170 is still the best right now. And then 155. Lightweight will always be a mainstay. Like it's going to be number 1 or 2 always. But like if we compare 135 and 125 to like 145 right now or 185 right now, like they're
185 plus are struggling.
No, true. At least at 205 we have like the top of the division is still great. I feel like but at the same time, like we're not always getting the best fights. Like Ankalaev isn't the most exciting fighter, things like that. So it's like, it depends. It depends what we get, at least we've got Poatan.
Well, I'm like, this wasn't a terrible light heavyweight fight we had to start the main card though last night. Walker coming out with getting 2 huge takedowns in the first round, and then Jacoby just with a clean 1-2 to finish the fight in the second.
Dude, how tough is Walker? I honestly was really impressed with his wrestling too. And his relentlessness, like he was half unconscious and he's like, no, I'm getting this takedown. Dude is super, super tough. I'm a huge Jacoby fan. I always he's obviously much better record, but he's like a lot like a Marc Andre to me, where I've never met the guy, but I'm always tuned in to see him fight. I think he's always fun. He's got a very solid game. I think normally he's got pretty solid takedown defense. Like he has good anti-wrestling. And so the fact that Walker was able to pick him up and slam him like that, there was one point Walker picked him up, took him off the cage, and then took him right back to the spot on the cage that he had him. And honestly, I do kind of wonder if some of that was a detriment to Walker. Like typically, if I can get somebody up in the air like that, I want to take him to the center of the cage where they can't, because Dustin Jacoby uses the cage really well to get up, or at least to nullify the situation where you can't take his back or anything like that. Like, if you're going to use the energy to pick somebody up and carry them somewhere, carry them to the middle of the cage. Don't take them back to the side of the octagon.
I actually think that for me, at least, I'm like, it would depend on who I'm fighting on where I'm going to carry you. Like with someone like Jacoby, I would carry him to the center because you don't want him to have the ability to use the cage to stand up. A lot of times if somebody's a jiu-jitsu player, though, they want the space. They I don't want to be trapped against the wall. So I want
up against the cage kind
of.
Yeah.
For me, if I'm out in open space, I have a lot more ability to move my hips, move in the directions I want to, whatever. As a jiu-jitsu person, I love being in the center. I'm like, if you put me up against the cage, now I'm trapped. I can't move my hips the same. I don't have the same attacking option. So I'm like, as a jiu-jitsu person, the cage is the worst place for me. But for a wrestler, I'm like, you don't want to bring them to the cage, or an explosive athlete. Anybody who is more explosive striker wrestler who's going to try to stand up, bringing them to the cage is not where they want to be.
Yeah. Well, and look at Kyoji. Look at how well he uses the cage just to stay balanced. Scott Mack in the comments, did you hear about John Jones needs hip replacement surgery? And Gillian's like, me too.
You know how many people sent that to me? It's the same hip too. We both have issues with our left hip.
Dang.
John was saying, he's like, last camp was so rough. I didn't sleep at all. I was like, tell me more about it, man.
Tell me, bro. Talk to me. Dude, I'm not surprised. I don't think we were going to see Jones fight this year anyway. And this just solidifies that a little bit for me. I think it's time for new superstars. Conor and Jones can't carry the UFC anymore.
I wouldn't be surprised if Jones fought this, because the clip that came out, they were talking to him about wrestling Cormier on RAF. So what? And they're like, would you
do that?
Yeah. They asked him, they're like, would you want to do that? And he was like, no, I need a hip replacement. I actually have really bad arthritis in my hip. So that was the clip that it came out in that everybody was sending. And I wouldn't be surprised though because he's going to be getting paid a lot more for a UFC fight than he would be for an RAF match. I wouldn't be surprised if the money is right for a UFC fight that we see John come back. But I'm like, I can understand, for me, I'm not going through like a camp, a wrestling camp to do an RAF show when I have this hip, you know? I'm like, but it's different when you got a little bit more money in the UFC.
But when do you think he's gonna? Did he say when he's gonna do the hip replacement? Like,
no, he said he just said he needs one. He's in the same position as me, where he's like he doesn't want to get it. Well, with me, it's they don't have the option. I need to continue training because I need a hip resurfacing to continue training. A hip replacement, I can't continue. Right. So he doesn't want to get it yet. So he's just like in a lot of pain, dealing with the hip arthritis. I'm assuming probably getting hyaluronic acid shots every couple months because that's what we're doing over here.
Yep. No, that's fair. So I don't know, maybe he pushes through. Jones is also the kind of guy where he doesn't need the money. He doesn't need the legacy. And in the past, if the stars have not aligned, he won't fight.
Yeah.
So is John Jones the kind of guy to fight a guy like Aspinall, like Powhatan, when he's not 100% healthy?
Well, he said his last fight camp, he had his hip like this. So I'm like, whatever.
Yeah, last fight was Cyril.
No, his last fight was Stipe, but still not. Right. Yeah.
After that. Oh, that's even worse.
I was going to say still not good. But I also don't see Powhatan as I feel like Alex is honestly an easy fight for John. Like not obviously there is a huge threat there, but I think it is an easier fight for John.
Aspinall. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think that Alex would pose a huge threat. I think he could have a puncher's chance and he could get lucky, but I see John winning that fight 9 times out of 10.
I agree, but maybe Powhatan's not on the table for him. Would he fight Aspinall with that hip, you think? Because Stipe was like 90 in MMA years when they fought. Love the guy, but like it was the perfect opportunity for Jones at that point.
Yeah.
So it's like, do you think he's willing to fight Aspinall if he's not 100%?
Well, I don't think he's willing to fight Aspinall in general, honestly. I don't think he would come back for Aspinall. I just don't think in his mind, it's like the Powhatan fight is a huge name. Yeah, it's a big fight where I'm like, the Aspinall fight isn't a big fight. Just like it obviously is, but I can see why he wouldn't think like there's not the name notoriety around it as much.
Well, and it's funny, like as a fan, we were talking about this a couple weeks ago on the show with Grant. Remember, like we were talking about like the fights that have question marks. I'm with you. I don't think there's really a question mark if Jones fight beats on whether or not Jones beats Powhatan. I think he's going to, like, he's just gonna, the dude is a superb athlete. He is the greatest fighter to ever live, and he can wrestle so well from anywhere in the cage. So yeah, I'm with you on that. There's a way bigger question mark over the Aspinall fight, and I'd still be more excited to see the Powhatan fight as a fan. So it does make sense.
Yeah, and I think that I don't know, it makes more sense for John too, like you said, how he likes to take opportunities that make sense for him, and fighting somebody with a smaller name that's a higher lose situation, or somebody with a big name that he's probably gonna beat. It's like, which one would you take?
That's fair. So maybe I this is probably true. Scott says Jones will fight Alex or never fight again. That's
what I think.
True. I don't think there's anything else that'll get him out of the bed in the morning, you know? And I think it has to be the White House card. I don't think he would fight on a regular pay-per-view either. I think he wants the White House, you know? He needs something to, when you have all the money and all the legacy that you could ever want, you got to have something to excite you, you know? I'll address this because a bunch of people have been asking. Izzy Boy said, did you see Usman Nurmagomedov? It's time to come to the UFC. I have not watched the PFL card yet. I had a bunch of stuff I had to do during the day before the UFC card. Did you watch any of the PFL card yet?
No, I was fighting people in the morning.
I was working, but yeah, I haven't been back to watch it yet, so I do not have an opinion at this time. Go watch the Jones and Gable Steveson wrestling video. They are impressive. Yes, very, very impressive wrestlers. I saw something. I'm not sure if it's RAF or if it's, I think Bo is supposed to wrestle Sadulayov, who's like the greatest wrestler of all time, which is wild. That's like, that's a tough match. That I actually really want to see that. I think that's going to be awesome. ATT with another champ this weekend. What a performance from Ramazan. Shame he's retiring. Yeah, he's kind of up there in age. Yeah, I literally I haven't seen it. I did see that he won, which is great for him. But dude, by the way, ATT went 6-0 on the UFC fights last night. I'm counting Jacob, even though he doesn't train with us all the time, but he still counts. So no count him. I think it's 5-0, but still love Jacob. He's super, super great guy. Okay, we have to get back to Vegas because we have only talked about half this card, and it's been an hour. So, and the prelims definitely deserve some love.
That the headliner of the prelims might be another. Yeah, Doncheco Moreno. I'm like, Moreno too, though. I'm like, how tough is he? I'm like, how do you put that dude away? I'm like, he was just kept on coming forward. That first round, I don't know how he didn't get finished. Was just like, at first I was like, ref, stop it. And then Moreno would do like a little bit of a roll or try to get up, like try to do some type of defensive movement. And then finally the round ended, survived the first round, the next 2 rounds. The second round, he definitely brought it out a little bit more. It was trying to bring a little bit more of a war to Doncheco, but he was just all over him. Those leg kicks were killing me.
Yeah. Dude, and how old is Moreno now? Oh, he's 35. I always think Moreno's way older than he is. But he's been around a long time. What is he? 13-10 in the UFC. That's a lot of UFC fights from 2016. So he's been in the UFC for a decade. I am not sold on Jonchenko, to be completely honest. However, I think he's found a game plan that works really, really well for him, where he's like, I can hit really hard and I can and even though he was exhausted at the end of the fight, he still pushed enough of a pace and he had done enough damage to the calf in the round where he was just throwing like a banshee that it took away enough of Moreno's movement, I think, to keep him safe later in the fight, if that makes sense. So it's like, he just comes out, spams calf kicks and wings punches. And then if he's exhausted, it's almost okay because the guy can barely stand on his leg anyway. And so he's not knocking him out after that point. You know, it's like, it kind of works for him, but I don't know that the better guys in the division are not going to be able to exploit him. He is very hittable.
I guess my argument for Donchenko in that fight would be that when you do get that close to a finish in the first round, I'm like, he had a good 30 seconds to a minute of just going 100%. Yeah. And I'm like, that can just be so exhausting that when he didn't get the finish on the next 2 rounds, definitely were at a slower pace. So I'm like, that's my only defense for him in that spot.
That's fair. And it's not like we've seen him gas massively in the UFC yet because we haven't seen him fight for long enough. Like, that was the first time where we saw him pretty gassed. Yeah. So I'm not I guess I shouldn't, but it was the whole round. Like, it wasn't just the part where he was trying to finish Moreno. It was the whole round. He was just like you were talking about Kyoji looking like a video game character. Like, Donchenko looked like a lower quality video game, like a pixel game where it was just spam, spam, spam. And you're just button mashing, spam calf kick. Like, he's just throwing the whole time. And I don't know if he can keep that up at the higher level at 170 for how deep the division is. I'm just not sure. I want to see him try for sure. Cause his UFC debut after the Ultimate Fighter, first round finish, Ultimate Fighter, or no, that was the finale. It was his. So this was technically his UFC debut. I guess we should call it. So for the finale, first round finish. In the fight before that, in the Ultimate Fighter, first round finish. And then the fight before that, he won the first 2 rounds. So we didn't even get to see him fight a third round. So I'm like, what do you do with him now? You don't want to, if you like him, you don't want to throw him to the wolves too soon because 170 is loaded. But also, because he's only 24. I'm with you. I know you always say you got to test people sometime. But he's only 24. That's really young for the UFC. So it's do you baby him a little bit? Because Morono's a veteran, but he's not like super high up at 170 just because of how deep the division is at this point.
No, but also like you said, it's technically his UFC debut. He's fighting a 13-10 guy in the UFC.
Exactly.
You know, like that's super impressive in general.
Yeah.
To go out there and get that win. But I do think you like not baby him, but like a little bit. You know, we take little steps up to the top. Like you said, he's 24. Like there's no reason to push him. Like we don't need to like instantly throw him into the rankings, but maybe give him a little bit more of a test. Don't give him like even I think Morono was a great test for him right now of like, all right, see if this guy's really about it. I'm like, that's a tough veteran who's going to stay in your face for 3 rounds. And to be able to handle that, I think shows a lot for him being 24 years old.
Yeah. But it's like, I'm like trying to figure out who you give him next. Cause like even some of the newer guys that some of the newer guys are not like, there's guys like Carlos Leal who also beat Morono, knocked him out. That dude just looks like a freaking unit. But he has a ton of fights. He's like 22-7. But he's 1-2 in the UFC. So it's like if you look at his UFC record, that should be like a fair, like, you know, that's a solid one. Oh, you know, it's your second real UFC fight, a 1-2 guy in the UFC. But 22-7 is a good overall record, and Leal is a tough fight. Like, can he get through those guys yet, do you think?
I don't know, but I know I feel like that would be a good like a test. Like those are the ones where I'm like, you got to see like, can he do it? But he has a possibility to. You know, you don't want to give him one that he's going to be completely shut down, and that's where I think like any of the ranked guys are going to completely shut him down right now. We just need like that little step up.
What about like, see, but some of these guys have so much experience. I'm like, oh, what about Jeremiah Wells? He's like a mid-tier welterweight, but he's 5-2 in the UFC. Like,
that still might be a good one for him too. I'm like I said, with a Morono, he's 13-10. I'm like, that's a bunch of experience.
Right.
What Donchenko has being 1-0 now.
There's like, you got there's actually a lot of new blood that, like, and I say new blood, but a lot of these guys are in their 30s, but they're not ranked, and they're still really good. Ramiz Brahimaj, the guy that just guillotined Austin Vanderford, he's a solid fighter too at 170. I think he's like 5-3 in the UFC. He's a tough fight for these young guys coming up, like Donchenko. Yeah, there's a lot of good guys. I don't know. Yeah, you guys tell us who. By the way, A-Ridge, we agree. Gillian is so awesome. Thank you. Anyway, yeah, let's move on. I don't know what we're gonna do with Donchenko next, but I want to see it. I want to see him stick around. So I hope they need to take care of him a little bit. This next fight.
I was gonna say we don't need to talk about this.
We can skip it.
No, I love Nico. I always want to see him do better because I almost think that he's one of those people that like training at a big gym has just kept him in a box, where he's someone who's like more of like a Yuri who needs to be in his own little box, you know? Like you can't tell him like you need to wrestle, you need to strike, you need to do jiu-jitsu, whatever. Like
you need to be Nico.
Yeah, like a lot of technical stuff isn't going to work for him as much. But if you look at like I said, like a Yuri, a Sean Strickland, Nico Price, I'm like, they do their own little weird things and it works for them. And I feel like Nico, it almost looks like he's just been put into a box too much. And like whenever he does something that's a little bit out there, like even last night, he threw a right hand and then came back and hit him with a back fist. And I was like, I love those little things that he does. I'm like, I always just wish to see those moments, but on the other side, Vertenikov just looked like an absolute like soldier in there. The way he was throwing his punches was just like laser beams and just a clean right hand.
And it's unfortunate, but Nico was just there to hit. Like for most of this fight, he truly was just a punching bag here. And I think some of what you're saying may be right, especially earlier in his career. Unfortunately, at this point, I also think like he's slower. And he's not, I shouldn't say, like, he's not that old. At 170, 36, compared to the ranked guys, like is definitely up there. But like there are guys that do well in their mid-30s. I think his style though requires more speed. And now that he's kind of lost some of that speed, it takes the chaos away from the funkiness. And as we've seen from late Tony Ferguson, funkiness alone is just not enough, you know? And so it's like you said, he still has those glimpses where he does unusual things and catches guys, but I think he's lost some of the sharpness and the speed and the reaction time that made him, you know, great and have these unusual up kick finishes and weird hammer fist finishes back in the day. Like he doesn't have the sharpness, I think, to create the chaotic moments that he needs to get the finishes.
No, I agree 100%. I'm like, that one, I'm like, great fight for Rajanikov, definitely a little bit of a letdown for me. And especially after, like we talked earlier, I'm like, after the Bruna Brazil and Caitlin Souza fight was a little bit of a letdown too for me, just in general. So I'm like, back to back there, wasn't doing great.
Yeah, dude. And honestly, I want to give Souza credit because I feel like she was trying to push the pace. And Brazil is frustrating for me. Not the country, guys. No, Bruna is frustrating for me because I feel like, and I think this is why the UFC keeps giving her chances, because I feel like she has these moments, these glimpses of greatness, like not just good, greatness. The way, like she does things that are really unique. Like the way she steps back and throws that really nice sharp knee and meets you with it, like that looks like Valentina. She has these beautiful kick when she's at range, but she doesn't pull the trigger. And she's just willing to like, oh, I have this one good moment and that was enough for the next 2 minutes. And now I'm just going to kind of like try not to get hit and move and circle. And it's like, she needs to like sit down and study like hours of Natalia Silva. I feel like of just like, and get a little bit more of that where it's like, I'm really trying to win each exchange. I think she's just not trying to win the exchanges. She's like waiting for her moments. But if she doesn't get a finish, it's just, you know what I'm trying to say?
I just want to see her throw a jab. Like, just do something simple. Like, it was like jumping flying knee, spinning back kick, like all these huge, explosive, fancy techniques. Like you said, like looking for a moment almost. Like, I feel like it just seemed to me that Bruna was hunting that, like, she wanted that 50K knockout and she was going to find it. But, like, she wasn't going to throw. Yeah, she wasn't going to set it up. It was just like all these giant explosive movements and then Souza shooting and holding her on the cage and these giant explosive movements.
Yeah, no, I agree. This one wasn't like the best fight, but it also wasn't the worst fight of the night. So good on them for doing better than the heavyweights. I thought Souza did what she needed to do to win. Like, and it's very frustrating to fight somebody that's running away from you, especially when you're the shorter fighter. And it's like they're not even throwing, so it's like they're not initiating exchanges where you can like counter or shoot or anything. Like it's so hard to shoot on somebody that's just running away from you. It's almost impossible. So like I'll give Ketlin credit. I don't think it's her fault. The fight was a little lackluster.
I think it's always your fault. I think as a fighter, it's always your fault whether the fight's boring or not. I hate when fighters say they're like, it wasn't me, it was the other guy who made it boring. I was like, no, you guys both made it boring.
All right. We'll share the blame. We'll give Bruna Brazil a little more of the blame than we gave Ketlin Souza. How's it?
All right, I'll agree with that.
Honestly, I don't think there's like that much to talk about, like what's next for them or anything like that. Like they've got a ways to go before they're matched up with anybody interesting at this point. But I like Bruna Brazil. I like the things that she is good at. And like you said, I just want to see her fill the space between the moments with a game plan, like, or anything, a setup. Anyway, we'll carry on because the next fight was great. Javid Basharat was supposed to fight Said Nurmagomedov, which was going to be really, really fun. Two super slick strikers. I think that would have been a blast. However, Gianni Vasquez stepping up short notice. I will give him credit. He missed weight by a lot. He stepped up in like a week's notice. Like sometimes you just got to take your opportunity, even if you're not going to make weight. I think he delivered a performance where the UFC will give him another shot, and they absolutely should. That was a tough debut guy. Like, even when he first came out, like, obviously Javid did what he needed to do, but I feel like what made Javid's performance impressive is seeing Vasquez, the way he moved when he first got in the cage, like just the way he was moving his feet and feinting and like pumping his jab and everything, and just his stance overall. I was like, oh, this kid's really good. Like, he already looks really good.
Even in the second round, he had a little bit of a moment there. He caught Javid, and then I think the rest of the fight was pretty much more Javid's direction, but I'm like, he had his little moment in the second round.
No, he did, and he made Javid have to adjust. And I wonder, I definitely want to ask him. I wonder, like, was it weird, like, looking over and seeing Ricky Simone again? But obviously, just unfortunately had that fight until Javid got knocked out was super fun too. There's something Javid does so beautifully. He does this like step off, like he almost like steps off, swings off to the side with his hook, and like makes guys miss. And then he's so much closer than you normally would be for the cross, because these guys are already extended from missing with their punch. And the way he counters with that strike, it's just this little slide off hook cross, is just so beautiful. I love watching him do that. It's so well done. I love that combo. Dropped him with it in the first. And honestly, dude, Vasquez's jiu-jitsu off his back looked solid. I saw him. I was like, I feel like Javid's like, yeah, I can take him down when I want, but kind of trying to put my knees through the ringer. Like, he had a lot of heel hook attempts as well, like we saw Oliveira going for. I think honestly Vasquez's game looked quite a bit more solid. I'm actually really excited to see this kid again. He might be older. I don't know why I'm calling him kid. I don't actually know how old.
That's what Dana does to everybody. Dana's always like,
"This is a flyweight?" I don't think that guy's a flyweight. I'm gonna look it up. I actually didn't. It was so short notice. I didn't get to do that much research on him.
He's 31 years old, and it has his last weigh-in at weight, so I'm not sure.
His last
flyweight.
He's
25er.
I don't see. It doesn't say.
On his last fight before the UFC, he was 25, and all the ones previous.
You know how like it doesn't say weigh-ins, so you have to like actually go click on. So his last like 4 fights don't show. So the way Tapology's weigh-in thing looks, it just takes whichever their last appeared weigh-in was on Tapology. So that was in 2023 was the last time it actually shows a weigh-in. So I don't know what his 5 fights between then and now were. Even though it says that on Tapology, it goes off of his last weigh-in that Tapology has. That makes sense.
I'm saying on his last fight before Javid, before he got in the UFC, it was at 25.
You sure?
Yeah, it says it on Tapology.
Where?
If you click on the logo on the side, then it opens up.
That's what I was trying to do. Oh, you're talking about. Oh, thank you. Oh, I've been clicking on the event because that's how you used to do it, to get, and it didn't have like the 125. No, Gillian was like waiting for me to shut up. She's like, "Elle."
It was like, it says it.
It says it. No, you're right. It is. Yeah. It was like 3 5-minute rounds. No, not 5. I was going to say, was it a title? So, but it doesn't say what he weighed in at.
No, it says that they were at, but all of his previous fights were at flyweight. So I'm assuming that
probably making. Yeah. Yes, but here's one that says flyweight 130 pounds 2 fights ago. And then there's a championship fight, so I'm assuming they made him make weight for that. He made weight against Edgar Shirez. Yeah. All right. He's a flyweight. I wonder if he'll stay at flyweight for the UFC, or if he'll try to compete at 135. Tap the plus icon. Where's the plus icon? I think my Tapology looks different. There's no plus icon for mine. There used to be, which I liked, and now it's not there. Anyway, it's fine. It doesn't matter. Elle needed help. Elle needs technological help, clearly. Okay, so, but yeah, I was impressed with him. Javid did what he needed to do. He definitely made me nervous in the second round there for a little bit. Got clipped, obviously. But, dude, Vasquez's boxing looked good. I feel like Javid was just that same pull that Farid has, I feel like what we saw from Vasquez is like from the beginning of the first round, you saw him, he looked really, really clean and sharp, and his boxing, like very good stance. By the end of the first round, Javid had what he wanted because he'd made his reads, and then he was just feinting so much at Vasquez that it was pulling bad shots out of Vasquez, like where Vasquez felt like he had to chase Basharat to try and hit him, and then he was getting clipped a lot. And he does such a good job of drawing out the counter from the other guy. That game is just so beautiful, and I can't do it, so I'm so impressed with it.
Say, speaking of counter fighters, the next one, Wang Kong. I'm like, I feel like that's what she looks. She's kind of like backing up, looking for the count. I would like to see her do more. I would like to see her be a little bit more aggressive. But I'm like, the way that she sat Aramore and Eduardo Mora down in that second round.
Dude, I have so many beefs with. I have so many problems with this fight. Yeah, she did good things, but in my opinion, like between I have no idea. Comment section, please tell us if we're insane. Eduardo Mora also, like in the third round too, I'll get to that. But in the second round, she had top control for almost like, it was like 4 minutes of that round, including a very deep submission attempt. How does she not get the second round? And if she got the second round, now we go to the third round where I love my wrestlers. I'm not being biased here. The dive on the ankle and the commitment from Eduardo Mora, because she had a couple really sick takedowns. The takedown she hit in the third round was so good. And then she was about to complete the takedown. Wang Kong completely stopped it with the cage grab. And I truly do not I don't think she would have gotten away. I think that would have won Mora the fight. And the fact that it not only wasn't called, a point wasn't taken, and she didn't get her position is what lost Mora that fight, because there's no universe where a judge should have given Wang Kong the second round. So I was super annoyed for Mora, to be honest. And then at that point, I was like very critical of Wang Kong and watching her try to do the worst rear naked choke I've ever seen in my life. And I was like, this girl does not understand chokes, but her striking is awesome.
It's like, to be fair, Eduardo Mora, I can't say her name to save my life. Eduardo's, her rear naked choke was pretty terrible in the second too. I'm like,
better than Wang Kong's. At least she understood the like angle that you have to be at to actually choke somebody.
Both of them, I was like, what am I watching here? You guys are so deep on what should be a choke, but you're not.
But at least she was under, like, she was where she needed to be. Like, her arm was where she needed to be. Wang Kong's like on the side, like hugging the head. There's like this much space. I at that point I was like, she should be on the bottom right now because she was about to get taken down. I was so frustrated. Yeah, I was disappointed in Keith there. I'm usually a Keith Peterson guy, but Keith, that was all nonsense last night. I was so, like, I'm upset. I don't know this person. I don't know Mora. I did want to be right because I picked her, but that probably is feeding into my upsetness a bit. But I'm just like, that was crazy to me. The whole fight there, this was just bonkers to me.
No, I definitely didn't see it. I had, well, obviously, like, maybe it would have went different without the cage grab, but I'm like, I definitely had Wang Kong winning, but the 30-27 was definitely mind-blowing for me.
Well, I think if the second round had been scored correctly and the cage grab had been dealt with correctly, I do think Mora would have won the fight. However, the fight that we saw, Wang Kong did win rounds 1 and 3. I'm with you. Like 100%. You can't give Mora the third round the way it went. But I think she would have gotten that takedown.
I'm like, the second fight of the night, I think might have been one of my favorites. I absolutely. You said his name earlier. I'm gonna make you say it again.
Viklash. Just call him Jacob because I can say that.
Yeah, I'll say that. He is like a better Dan Hooker.
but a grappler.
But I'm like, all he really goes for is the guillotine. Like that's what Hooker does too, but he has more options off the guillotine. Like he has good sweeps and good like transitions off of his guillotine. But I'm like, it's mainly just striking in the guillotine. But I'm like, he has, like I said, just better options off of both.
Dude, Jacob is like, he is a frustrating fighter to watch if you're rooting for him. I feel like he has this incredible jujitsu, and he's not scared to go for things in the grappling exchanges. And he took the back beautifully as well. So it's not just the front headlock. Like he has a great overall grappling game, but he has no wrestling to get it there. Or I don't know if he does because he doesn't shoot. He tries to knock you down or wait for you to shoot on him. And it paid off somehow because Gafurov was flying away with this fight from pretty much like Jacob had the first. After that, it was all Gafurov. Like
well, actually, on the scorecards, it said that Jacob won.
I'm sorry. No, he won the second he took the back in the second. The third round was all Gafurov.
Yeah, but I'm saying, if it went to decision, the judges would have scored it Jacob. Yeah.
Yeah. And I agree with that decision, but it was close enough that I was like super upset that Gafurov was trying to say he didn't tap. I was like, it was before the bell. But Gafurov lost himself this fight. I think he could have finished Jacob here on the cage. I really do. And I don't know if he was just too tired because, hey, guys, fighting is hard. It really is. I don't know if he was too tired. This was a pretty... He was throwing at Jacob all throughout the third round, and he was landing. Jacob also did a really beautiful job attacking with the teep. That was like the one thing that he was consistently landing on the feet that I think did some damage to Gafurov throughout the whole fight. And so maybe that took some of the wind out of him. But then that last shot, was just a mistake. It was a mistake. And he capitalized so perfectly.
I think it was the beginning of the second, that teep, he just landed it like perfectly and dropped him a little bit for a second, had him backing up there. I'm like, but yeah, landing the teep all night. I actually really like that style of, like you said, not like, it's always good to be well-rounded, but if you are going to pick like sports to be good at, I would choose the ones that have finishing elements. So I'm like, it doesn't really matter if we stay on the feet because he's going to mess you up on the feet. And if we go to the ground, I'm going to mess you up there. It's like, he doesn't care if you have the better wrestling, if you can determine the direction of the fight, because no matter where you take the fight, he's confident that he has the finishing ability there. So I'm like, I really like his style. And I'm like, after, obviously his first fight against Patchy Mix, the second one, I'm like, I've loved both of them. And I'm a huge fan as of now.
He's so fun. And like you said, he is very confident he will get the finish, and it paid off for him. I think there is a concern if he can't get the finish on the feet. If your jiu-jitsu is that good, which it is, you should have some element where, okay, I'm not knocking this guy out. How am I going to win this fight? I need to be able to take the fight to another place where I can get a finish, if that makes sense. I think that's the one hole for Jacob at this point in time. But it doesn't matter because he's always trying to finish, even when he's exhausted in the third. He barely did anything most of the third round. He was just trying to not get finished by Gafurov. And then he would, he'd gain some respect back, throwing up that kick up the middle or launching a big right hand. But it was just like, it was one shot here, one shot there, And then he was able to get that. That was a beautiful guillotine. To be able to finish that with that little time left too. Gafurov's got to be kicking himself for tapping before the bell.
Oh, it was 1 second left. And but on his part too, dude, you tapped with both hands. How are you going to get up and stand up with your hands up? Like, what just happened. Good and well in your heart that you did not win that. Like, you got to, as a fighter, I don't know what you're doing there.
Listen, I gave Gianni Vasquez some grace for missing by 5 pounds because he took a fight on a week's notice. Moin Gafurov does not get that grace, bro. You already had a 5-pound advantage. Didn't have to kill yourself to make the weight. Jacob's a big 35 or 2. Yeah, you don't. Yeah. That's a dirty game, Mister. I'm tapped with both hands. I'm with you, but honestly, yeah, Felder made an RDR comparison. What is your username? Agrafine says Felder's RDR comparison very accurate. He's got a lot of the same elements. I will agree.
No, I can definitely see that.
But yeah, I was going absolutely bonkers in my living room.
I'm like, there was that fight, and then the first fight of the night that I'm like was an absolute firefight too, from this, like you said, a division we usually don't see it from, the 135-pound girls. Like, from start to finish, I'm like, we obviously know this is why Priscilla's in this division, is because she's always even this fight I feel like was a little bit slower for her. I don't think she pushed, like, she wasn't throwing a lot, but like when she does land, it's just like you can see that like it is hard. But Claudia was just throwing volume just the whole fight for the whole 3 rounds. And I really think like that was what changed, well, like what won her the fight is just the pace that she was pushing, and probably what did slow Priscilla down, which made her a little bit more tentative to throw. I'm like, when Priscilla was landing, I'm like, those punches were hard.
No, 100%. I think with Priscilla, when she expects to get the knockout. And so I think when she didn't get the finish, you saw after about halfway through the first round, whether it was I can't put that as much into my punches for 15 minutes as I can for the first 3 minutes, whether it was that or if it was like a mental change in her. You definitely saw her when she was like, oh, like I hit this girl hard and she didn't go down. You see the change in her. Now, the chopping at Claudia's calf. Claudia had 2 massive hematomas on her calf and did not give 0 craps about it. These Polish fighters, man. And dude, her chin too. Claudia's got a heck of a chin. To be honest, I expected her to grapple a little bit more because that's always been Priscilla's hole. So to see her go out and just trade punches and do such a good job being a little more, she's not the most elusive striker, but she's definitely more elusive than Priscilla, where Priscilla is just forward pressure, like zombie girl, you know, like just forward pressure, zombie movement. I'm going to eventually find my punch that knocks you out. Claudia did a really good job with the teeps. She did a really good job moving out of the way and then coming back with like 4, 5, 6 punch combinations. Like, how often do we see that?
And I guess that was my thought process too, is maybe why Priscilla seemed a little bit more tentative too, is she expected Claudia to wrestle more.
Yeah.
So she didn't want to walk forward as much and give Claudia as much options to take her down, give her the opportunity. So I feel like, because I'm like, Priscilla definitely wasn't pushing a pace that we've seen in the past, where I'm like, I feel like she's kind of reckless abandonment and throwing a little bit more, where I'm like, she seemed like she was a little bit more on her back foot. And I was watching the fight, I was assuming it was because like she expected more wrestling.
No, I think it could be a combination of that too. That all right, because she was, maybe I need to go back and watch it. Maybe she's a little less. I still thought she looked like herself in the first couple minutes, and then when she didn't get that finish, I felt like I saw her just settle into the fight a little bit more, which isn't necessarily a like a bad call. If you have that ability to put people away, you want to make sure you still have that ability to put people away in minute 14, 15 of the fight. And if you just throw till you're gassed, it's not going to happen. So I definitely felt like, yeah, I saw her make that adjustment, whether it was conscious or not. It definitely seemed to be there.
I'm like, for me, I just felt like she was slow from the start. I'm like, I felt like Claudia was just, it looked, for me, it looked like Priscilla was trying to be patient from the start. It looked like and that's why I suspected the shot. It looked like she was looking for something, you know, like she was waiting for something, and for that, she did defend Claudia's 2 takedowns that she did take, but I'm like, I just felt like it kept her from fighting her own fight.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And I mean, she did a lot of damage to the calf. Claudia didn't seem to care about it all. She just kept coming forward, kept tagging her. But yeah, that was a banger of a fight. The matchmaking last night, like I give you guys an A+. Obviously, this card lacked some name value, but it made up for it. And I feel like we're going to see a lot of these guys, the Basharat brothers, Mario Bautista, Kyoji. Like Kyoji went from like, oh, we don't want to re-sign Kyoji to like Kyoji is a superstar, like overnight. Like the UFC's got to be kicking themselves for like not signing him earlier.
I don't like, obviously I don't know how much the behind the scenes stuff, but I'm like, obviously he is a huge star over in Risen, or like in Japan, like that in Risen, was such a huge opportunity for him when I think he left the UFC when he was like 25 years old. I'm like, he was
Demetrius Johnson when he was like 23, 24.
Yeah, super young. And I'm like, I think that was a great opportunity for him. And now coming back, he is just such a powerhouse for the UFC because of one, obviously who he is athletically and what he can do in the cage, but now he's bringing over this huge star power that he has from, I feel like, a demographic that the UFC is trying to pull in kind of right now, like with the road to the UFC and things. You see them trying to get like more from the Eastern side of the world, you know?
Yeah. No, sorry, finish your thought.
I was just gonna say they're trying to pull in more eyes, and Kyoji's the perfect guy to do it.
It's way more effective than Road to UFC. I love the concept behind Road to UFC, but these guys are not, unless you're going to make it its own show, like Contender Series, which we should also make its own show. These guys aren't, most of the Road to UFC guys are not ready for the UFC level. And so you want these stars from that part of the world so you can draw this very loyal fan base that loves martial arts so much. Like, do people, like Danny Sabatello is becoming a freaking Asian superstar, and he's from Chicago. like they love martial arts. They absolutely love it. They go bananas for it, and they will sell out massive stadiums. But you can't sell out massive stadiums with guys that are prelim level fighters. You need Asian superstars. So he is the guy to make that happen for them. And to answer Notorious, yeah, he said, how did Patchy Mix beat Horiguchi? He beat him by being like 35 pounds heavier than him in an organization that was not drug testing at the time. Kyoji is not, I don't think he's ever lost at flyweight except for against Demetrius. Like, he was fighting at 135, and he's not a big flyweight. Like, you saw the size difference between him and Albazi yesterday. Like, he's a small guy, and he was fighting at 135 in Ryzen and Bellator.
Albazi looked like he was in a different weight class compared to Kyoji.
He's a big dude. Dude, Albazi looks strong. And somehow Kyoji looked stronger. I don't know how. But dude, yeah, this would have been sick. Kyoji had won last night and then just flown right to Mexico City.
We were calling for it last week. It's what should have happened.
No, I'm excited to see Kavanaugh get his shot. I think even if he loses to Moreno, it's going to be really fun. So I'm not upset. I think it's going to be a fun fight. And I'm glad they saved the main event too. I'm glad it's not a whole new main event with people we care about less than Brandon Moreno, because he is the Mexico guy. Like, yeah, he's the guy. You have to have him on the Mexico City card. But I don't know if I agree with this. Notorious Viet said Albazi is probably the worst top 10 ranked fighter in the UFC. He's not the most exciting, but there are way worse guys in the top 10, especially at heavyweight. But like, Albazi's a good fighter. He's not always the most exciting, and he nullifies the fighters that tend to be fan favorites. But he's a good fighter. He's only losing to some of the best guys in the division.
Yeah, I think that's hard to say when there's a heavyweight division.
Yeah, and women's bantamweight. Outside of your Kaylas and your Amandas, like, I am actually very excited to see your girl back at the end of the month. Eileen Perez. She was super fun. I feel like she kind of lost some momentum just having to be out for the injury. So I'm hoping she can, spark some excitement at women's bantamweight.
Yeah, UFC Mexico, Macy Chiasson.
That's like the threshold, I think, for a lot of the women at 135 is like Macy's, like, she's going to beat the girls that aren't ready to go on a title run. And like, she's the test,
Yeah.
That's awesome for Island. So excited to see her back. That'll mix the division up a little bit more, hopefully. Who wins between Peyton Talbot or Mario Bautista? I don't know. I love Talbot, man. And he's so sharp. He's super technical and dangerous. I think Mario's grappling though.
I was gonna say, I think Bautista just is a little bit ahead of him in all areas.
And he's good at nullifying these explosive strikers too. But he can get. Have we ever seen anybody like really clip Mario? I'm trying to think. Like hurt him? Have we ever seen somebody hurt Mario Bautista?
Not that I could think of.
Yeah. How do you think Jailton Almeida versus Walter Walker will go? This is the fight to do, honestly.
I'm here for every Walter Walker fight because it's Walter Walker 2026 champ.
We're here for, and honestly, like if the UFC wants to get rid of Jailton Almeida, that's probably the way to do it because he's going to take almost everybody down. And Walter Walker wants to go down and attack from the bottom. I do wonder if Almeida's a pretty high level grappler, so I wonder if he can do, like you've commented on the lack of defense from a lot of the heavyweights that Walker is subbing. I do wonder what that looks like against a grappler like Almeida.
Yeah, well, no, it definitely poses an interesting question of if Walter's first heel hook attempt gets shut down, is there more?
Right. Yeah, that's true. And does he have anything else? Like if Almeida like clears the legs and is like, I'm going to staple so you can't, instead of lace, so you can't keep, rolling for heel hooks. Like, does he have anything else? Can he get up,
No, I think that'd be a good test for him, but probably his hardest matchup, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, it honestly probably is the toughest matchup, which is part of the reason I don't want to do it, because the last thing we need is to lose a contender to Jailton Almeida, who unfortunately nobody, like for how good, because he's good. He's just like, how do I explain this? He's a good fighter that's not good at fighting. Does that make sense at all? Like he has serious skills that most of the heavyweight division doesn't have. And he just can't figure out how to put it together into a game that people want to see, which is sad because like Cain Velasquez did it. I think Josh Hogan is figuring out how to do it. He just doesn't have it.
No, I think that he's just a grappler. He's a jiu-jitsu guy, and it's just that like he hasn't evolved past that. Like he's a good jiu-jitsu guy.
This is a better Sage just making fun of me. Good fighter that's not good at fighting. Great skills, poor execution. Honestly, that's yeah. And he hasn't figured out how to put it together in the fight. Imagine how insane it would be if Walter is actually a real submission threat. He's just never had to go past leg locks. We don't know. We need to see it. Duke is asking you if you have any fight rumors. Not that we're going to tell you. I actually don't. I don't have anything. I'm sorry, Duke. Sorry, dude. Did you see UFC try to get Rico or Hoven? Of course, everybody's coming into the comment section now that we've been here like almost. We probably.
I'm like, it's about time to get this shut down.
We need to go. I'm sorry, guys. Bring your questions to the Tuesday show. We can talk about all of them there. Did we miss anything?
No, I think we got it all.
We got it all. It was a little bit here and here and here. Like I said, guys, this is what happens when we don't have Dave. There's just nobody to direct us. And we just ramble. It's not even noon East Coast, y'all. Started too early. We started at 10 a.m. That's not that early. I guess that's early for the people that are like on the West Coast. What is that, like 7 a.m. for you guys? It's 7 a.m. Most people are up by 7 a.m. I'm sorry. I got to go to church. Jillian's got stuff to do. I don't know what she has to do on Sundays, but she's got stuff to do. So we appreciate you, Sage. Thank you guys for coming by. Duke, John Dong, all of you guys. We love you all. Tuesday, 1 p.m. We'll be back. And there's no fights this weekend. So I don't even know what we're going to talk about on Tuesday. Probably more of this. So love you guys. Bye.